Yeah.
Okay. We need to take a selfie before we forget.
Do you I'll take one too. Do you need glasses for reading?
No, but I need them for distance driving. But I don't
Okay.
drive in the dark at night, and I feel like some super like old lady now because I'm like, I don't like driving at night because of my glasses.
All right. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got it?
I did. I'm small in
Okay.
mine. Your eyes are
That's
closed.
okay.
Don't do it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got it?
No, why are they still closed?
Me? It's probably just because it's super early and my eyelids are puffy.
Let me see if I. Okay, let's try again. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, they're definitely
I'm looking up.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I need to show you something, and I wanted to wait until we were recording because I want to get your reaction.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna send you one, but I wanted
Okay.
to make sure that like the screen print and everything was okay because it's on like this heathered fabric.
Yeah.
And sometimes if it doesn't like print properly, our faces are gonna look like super warped and everything. So I had to get like one test done, and I know I need to get like a much bigger size for you, but we're gonna pick the color that you want. But it looks like pretty cool. I put like this little distress texture on it.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I wouldn't have. It would have looked weird if it was solid.
Yeah, that's what I thought, just because it would have been too big, and then just like this heavy like plastic patch.
Yeah.
So
I
but
wouldn't
it
even.
turned out really well. It's super fun. So we'll talk about this after, and I'll get you one.
Okay.
How was your week? Tell me something. Tell me something that happened this week.
Should we do one? Oh, I had my birthday dinner with my family, so that was super nice.
Yeah.
I tried some alcohol for the first time. Well, not
Have
the
you
like
never
the first
drank?
time ever, but like the first time in years.
And what did you have, and how was it?
My brother ordered a fishbowl margarita. No,
Oh,
sorry,
you didn't
pina
even have
colada.
like a sip. You had like a whole shebang.
A fishbowl pina colada, and I was like, "Okay, there's 4 straws there." Share.
So you liked it? It was good?
Yeah, it was good. I love pina coladas. I didn't drink a lot, but I felt very safe drinking, which is like something that my eating disorder previously wouldn't have let me do. So
That's nice.
yeah, that's 2 meals out in the past 2 weeks for me.
Oh, that's exciting.
What'd you do?
I haven't I don't know. I feel like all these like little things. I had my birthday too, which was great. I'm like exhausted from it. Being 36 is, man, it is a whole new ball game. But it was good. I saw Jeff Nippert at my gym yesterday.
Was he filming?
No, he was just working out, but I saw him and I was like, I go to 2 different gyms, and this one that I'm going to, it's like a little bit smaller and kind of not like, if you were to Google gyms in Cancun, for me, that wouldn't be the first one I go to, especially as an athlete. And I saw him there and I'm like, he kind of looks familiar. I'm like, who is this guy? But I'm like, there's no way he's here. And like, he's a lot shorter in person, but like, he's jacked. Like he's just like a thick guy. And I'm like, I'm watching him like train and go through his range of motions. I'm like, okay, this isn't some Mexican like doppelganger or something. So I go online and I go on Instagram and kind of search him. Of course, like he doesn't have his like up to date like location and things, which of course like I get it. And then I saw his, I guess, girlfriend, because found that through like Instagram, and yeah, so he was there. But I'm not the kind of person to go up and be like, hi, can I get a picture with you? So I'm like, that's cool. Like, just do your own
I
thing.
wonder if he did that strategically so that he wouldn't run into too many like bodybuilders and stuff. But like,
yeah.
Also, I was gonna say if he was filming, I totally would have like popped my head in the background and be like, ooh.
Like, oh, sorry.
Stephanie
yeah,
did the all-in challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't follow her, but I remember she did that like a few years ago, right?
Yeah.
Where she did like a big weight gain.
Yeah. And then her weight came back down as it kind of like found homeostasis for her.
That's so interesting.
So yeah, the emotion
man, like all these.
the emotion she went through felt very, very real watching it.
Oh, okay. So you
Yeah.
could like really resonate with that.
Yeah. You probably could too. Like if you went through it. It's not just for people with
Probably.
eating disorders, it's just like people
Yeah.
that struggle with body confidence.
I think, when was that? Like 3 years ago, maybe?
I think it was longer.
I
It
feel
was
like I saw her doing it, but I didn't have like that connection. And maybe it was like during my powerlifting time where I'm like, oh, like that kind of emphasis on body image isn't like what I'm trying to focus on. So maybe I couldn't have related. But probably looking back at it now, I feel like I definitely could have.
yeah. Can I share something that I learned?
Please.
So I had a chat with someone who specializes in ADHD because I've only recently found out that I have it.
Right.
And I was like, I just want to, like, the more that I find out about it, the more that I learn about myself, but I'm not necessarily, I'm just learning like how to identify it. And that's really interesting for me because I don't feel like I don't feel like I'm weird. Like it's like, oh, okay, well, that's actually something that happens with people with ADHD. And that's why I think that way. But I still haven't learned how to like then manage that. So I wanted to have a call with her. And she said, she brought up this thing called INCUP, which is like how we process our thoughts or like our interest. And it goes, so INCUP stands for interest, novelty, challenge, urgency, and passion. And she's like, notice that importance isn't on there. So like when I'm going through things of like the order that I want to do things, I never, and I know this, like I never do think what's the most important. I usually do things that like what's the most interesting, what's going to bring the most novelty, what's going to be the most challenging, and like to keep it interesting. Because the reason the conversation came up, I said when I was in Fiji with Tim, we went scuba diving, and Tim was like, "Oh, look at the turtle," and I was like, "Okay, cool. What's next? Like, what's next?" Like, I'm like, I'll look at it and appreciate it, but then what's beyond looking at it? Like, there's nothing more to learn from that turtle once I've seen it. Or like look at the sunset, and it's like, okay,
Okay, I'm done.
yeah, woohoo.
I think that's so interesting. But like how you're describing all of that, for me, I'm like, that makes sense. Like I'm
Yeah,
also that. Like I've gone to go see like the pyramids recently when I went to Mexico City and I saw them and I was like, okay, that's cool. Like what else? And it's like move on to the next thing.
yeah. And it's like the same when I'm talking to my mom, and my mom will like rattle on, and I'm like, no, like, what do you want to know? And then say it, hang up.
Like be efficient.
Yeah.
Man, does that mean I have ADHD? Am I like self-diagnosing right now?
I don't know. We're pretty much the same person anyway, so probably.
We are, so probably. Really similar to that, and then like we'll get into our episode, is when I was I went on a yacht a couple days ago with some of my girlfriends and my parents for birthday stuff. And I had noticed lately I feel like almost more sensitive to like noise and loud situations and stuff like that. So we're trying to like order this meal at lunch and everyone's talking and stuff. And I just got so overwhelmed. I just sat and I just like put my head down. And I was just like, I shut down. And then everyone's like, are you okay? I'm like, I can't do the noise. Like, I can't do it. So I was talking to my girlfriend and she's actually a psychologist. So of course, like she picks into things and stuff. And she's like, would you consider yourself a neurodivergent? And I was like, I've heard that word before, but I don't know like exactly what that means. So like, of course I go on Google and it comes up and it says a person
Let me get back to
refers
you
to
on
a
that
person.
one.
Yeah, it's like a person like referring to a person on the autistic spectrum, or more generally, like someone whose brain processes information in a way that's not typical. And I'm like, okay, well, what is typical brain processing these days? Like, if we're being honest. But I was like, I wouldn't consider that I have like autism, but I need to like dig into that a little bit more. But I was like, I definitely feel like my brain processes things a little bit differently.
I'm just
So
gonna
I
turn
was
my
like,
income on, sorry.
yes. Okay.
Go
Um,
ahead.
so yeah, I was like, maybe I do feel like I'm a neurodivergent, but I feel like as I get older and kind of like discover more of myself, I'm less distracted by things and more just like not closed, but I don't know. It was just weird, which is like how
I'm
I
on the
focus.
autism spectrum, and it tends to be something that's very common with people who suffer from ADHD. Do you remember me
Mhm.
talking previously about how I mimic my behavior based on the situation that I'm in or who I'm around?
Yes. Yes.
That's an autistic trait. Like, it's like just watching people and then like adapting your personality towards theirs because like that's what you think you're supposed to do. But I find that too. So say like when I was out for dinner, everyone was like chatting and I'll be like very much in the conversation, and then my mind will wander to something else, and then I just go quiet and everyone's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like I was just having a conversation in my head." Like
I feel that too. It's like you play up like little stories. It's like the current situation is not interesting enough or
yeah.
engaging enough, maybe not interesting, and you're like looking for something else.
Or
Oh my
sometimes
gosh.
like I'll hear the table next to me talking and their conversation will be a little bit more interesting. So then I just like drift over to their conversation and not focus on what's going on in front of me.
I love it. Oh my gosh. We're so similar. Ugh. Okay. Are we going to get into this?
Yes, this is Femme Radio. I'm Dazz.
I'm Court, and we're redefining health. Before we get into this awesome conversation today, please make sure that you leave us a 5-star rating and share us. Share us with all of your friends.
Do you want to read your letter first?
Okay. So we are writing letters, or we did write letters, and we are sharing them. And this is like a first time share of letters to our past selves. And I feel like yours is going to be so different from mine. Of course it is, but just like the different points in our life. I was digging in a little bit more. I honestly was Googling like how to write a letter to my past self. Like, what is this supposed
Oh,
to be
really?
like? And things. Yeah, because I could have just rambled, but I didn't want to like force myself into a box of what this is supposed to be like, but make sure that I'm including the things that are really important. Like I don't want to like suppress and be like, oh, I don't want to talk about that. Like maybe I do need to bring that up. So it's my understanding of like the concept and this reflection. It's like giving gratitude and respecting like all of the previous versions of myself in order to get to where we are now. And I got really emotional with mine. I had to like take little breaks and come back to it. And I feel like the letter I wrote, it's kind of messy, but then I was like, yeah, well, so is my life now and then. So I'm like, okay, I just feel like it's just like dumping thoughts and things and stuff. So I guess I'll go first. And this is me from when I was 24 years old, so 12 years ago, and thinking 12 years ago is like absolutely mind-boggling to me. Um, it just seems like so long ago, but I'm like, how am I this old now?
I still feel
Okay,
like a 24-year-old.
I know. And I'm like, wait, but I'm not that old. All right. So I will go. The good thing about feeling like you're at the bottom right now is that there's only one way from here, up. I know that you think this is it right now, that where you are in your life is going to become your forever, but I promise you it's not. Losing your friends will allow you to find yourself, to create your own life, your own voice, and your own fun. You're going to find your faith again, and that's going to unfold into something more powerful than yourself. The feelings of being controlled will allow you to find your strongest and most confident voice, to know what you absolutely do not deserve. You need to learn from this. You continue to stay strong and keep a smile on your face every day, yet crying on the inside, feeling alone, disconnected from family and abandoned from friends, feeling unloved and you have no one to talk to. You feel controlled, brainwashed, voiceless, and helpless. This darkness will pass, but you need to be here right now. Stay here. You need to have this time as part of your evolution because this weakness will soon become your greatest strength. These most difficult times will become some of the most important and identity forming experiences you could ever have. It's going to hurt. It's going to feel really lonely and painful, but I promise you it's all going to be okay. You'll always be safe. Terrifying situations are going to be thrown at you and you'll have to learn and deal with them on your own, but you'll learn as you go. There's times when you're feeling unsure, doubtful, and selling things just to pay rent, but you're okay. You always will be. You think that you'll be like this forever, but it won't. Keep persisting. All of this is happening for you. It's connecting with you, leading you to more than you ever thought could be. You've lost a lot of friends, your sense of self, but it's making space for new adventures, new love, and a new life. You will learn how to be strong, especially when you won't have someone to be strong for you. Even though you're not receiving the love you thought you deserved, don't doubt your worth. You are deserving of more and you'll receive it. You are loved and always will be. The struggles are going to unfold as your strengths. The resilience you're building and self-confidence you're cultivating. These traits are going to empower hundreds of people in your future. You're going to meet people who are going to make you believe again in all things, especially believing in yourself. You're allowed to be scared right now. If there's one thing I can reassure you with, it's that this isn't your forever. I promise it gets better. You wouldn't believe all the magic that will come from this. If I could encourage one thing that would help you believe that it gets significantly better from here, is that what you're going through right now is the gateway for the amazingness that lies ahead for you. And that's it.
I have some questions.
Oh, shit.
Because I want to
Okay.
know, like, the events. So
Okay.
let's start with, like, losing friends. Where did that all stem from? Like, what was going on? And was it a fight, or was it just going separate ways? Or
I ended up starting to date someone. And when I started dating him, I drastically changed my life. I quit drinking at the same time. I very much felt controlled, and I've said this like before when I've talked about this relationship, is like I felt like I was very much brainwashed by him. I was very much controlled. I didn't have my own voice, and everything just changed in my life like very, very quickly. Because I stopped drinking and then kind of like started making all of these changes, I lost a lot of my friends. I was 24 years old. All my friends were going to the bar, they were partying and stuff, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm done. And they couldn't accept it. And I understand that. Like looking back, I completely changed who I was. Like I went from one person to the other. So yeah, that was why I lost a lot of friends. Like all of them, everyone that I knew.
and you also touched on some terrifying situations. So I think this was after losing all the friends. Was that kind of going through the journey of refinding yourself?
Yeah. Within that family that I was in a relationship with, just their way of thinking was very different. Partially to do with like discovering my faith again, but conversations that they would have honestly about like leaving the country and moving to a country and living off the grid. And I was like, oh, okay, like I'm getting into all of this. I go from like this little party girl that's like just gets out of college, and then it's like picking up and leaving and living off the grid and like abandoning my family because they don't understand my mindset, but I didn't even understand my mindset. And just like it seemed like things were going so fast, and I was like hanging on for dear life. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. And there was a point where like I quit my job because my boyfriend at the time told me that's what I needed to do. And we were like selling things just to pay rent. And I was like, this is not what I thought was going to happen. So it was like every day I would wake up and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do today.
How old were you when you met Christian?
That was 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I'm looking at like my watch, but like what age was I? So I was 30, 31, 32.
Okay. And did you think that you had discovered your full self before meeting him?
Before meeting Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was only honestly like this whole like rediscovering myself, I think only started happening about June last year, which is so fucking weird because I truly believe that one trigger that like started me down like this discovery was this ex-boyfriend, because I went back to Toronto to compete in a competition and he was at that gym. I didn't know he was there. I didn't even know he existed. Like I've completely forgot about him in my life. And apparently he was at the gym. He saw me and he said to one of our mutual friends, like, tell her I say hi, which reconnected my friend, which like went to this whole weird thing. But it was so fucking weird, like so weird.
I think that definitely happened for a reason, though, as much as it was
Absolutely.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very much excited to get to a place where you are now, where you feel, although like you're probably still finding out things about yourself and revisiting past trauma and trying to discover you in your wholeness and accept all the bits of you that you've previously shut out. I can't wait till I'm at that point where I can just be totally joyful about everything that I experience. I feel like I very much struggle to feel joy and happiness because I I don't allow myself to, in a way.
I still struggle with that, and I feel like a lot of it has to do with me rediscovering my faith. And I am not like a super religious person. I do believe in higher power and all of that, and I think a lot of that stems or like intertwines.
Okay, interesting.
That's just for me anyway. That's not for everybody, but that's just for me.
Yeah.
So I know you'll get there. You'll get there at the time that you need to get there.
But
Are
as
you ready
soon
for your
can we just I told you I hate
yes.
it. Can you see her?
It's blurry because I think the background is blurred, but I see a tail in the in the bookshelf. You know what? At least she's not on your keyboard right now.
No, but she'll start going on the bookshelf, and she'll just start flicking things out. Like, we don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that. Oh, that picture? You like that picture? On the floor.
We
Yeah.
don't need that. Do you ever take that as like a sign? Or
That
just
she's
like
a
your cat
bitch?
just your cat's
No.
just like being a shithead?
No, because she does it with everything. Like, if I leave this mouse out, she will jump up and she will take this off and pull the batteries out and just play with the batteries and bring them down the stairs.
Like why?
Uh-huh.
Just like
Because
having a
she's
child.
yeah.
Oh
All
my
right.
gosh.
Are we ready for mine?
Okay. I am. I'm so excited.
Mine's very long, so I apologize.
No, go for it.
Okay. To 13-year-old self. Things are about to get a whole lot more difficult than ever before. Before I tell you your story, I want you to know that although you will lose yourself, trust that whatever it is and whatever life throws at you, you will get through it and you will be okay. I'm telling this story to you just before your 30th birthday, and it may seem hard to fathom, but just now have we started the road to finding Darian. At 14, you'll start dropping weight. Unfortunately, there are no boundaries here. They're non-existent. And this evil thing controlling your every thought and every decision would do its best to destroy you. At 15, you would be admitted into hospital, diagnosed with anorexia nervosa. From there, the next 2 years will be full of tears, heartbreak, and unimaginable hurt. The months to come, you will sit wondering when you'll be able to go home. There are nurses that watch your every move. You can't shower or use the bathroom on your own. Family visits are limited to an allocated time slot. You get pricked and prodded with needles multiple times a day. You're forced to eat everything on your plate, and if you don't, you get the tube. You have lost all sense of self. Your eating disorder is so powerful, but yet you feel insignificant and helpless. You have endless visits to the hospital, psych, day programs, therapy groups. At school, you spend recess and lunch isolating yourself so nobody notices that you aren't a part of any friendship groups anymore. You have no one to trust, no one to turn to, and your whole life is lived in secrecy. The ghost of Darian is probably the best way to describe this experience. Home is complete chaos. Mum is depressed and spends most of the time either sleeping or drinking. You have nothing to do with your brothers and tiptoe around your dad whenever he is home to avoid his sporadic temperament. The dancing around the pool table with Cade's my younger brother, has been replaced with endless Julian Michaels burn fat boost metabolism circuits. Friendly competitions in the swimming pool have been replaced with hours of laps. The fire game on the trampoline is now just hours of straight caloric burn. It hurts to sit because you have nothing but bones on your frame. You pee the bed at night out of exhaustion. You collect coins to stick in your underwear, pre-prepared for the next weigh-in day. You plan every waking hour around what you eat and how to burn more calories. This is your new world. If there was an award to the most lost teen and the most unfulfilling childhood, you would be nominated for top performance. The magazines you read, movies you watched, stories mom told you about adolescence, you never experienced. All you know is you as your eating disorder. Come 16, you get your learner's permit. You also get your first boyfriend, at least your first real boyfriend. We don't count the preschool one-day flings. You get your first job at KFC. I know, the irony. This is the closest that you've ever felt to finding your true self. In a circle where no one knows you as Darian with the eating disorder. They know you as Darian, the one with the funny jokes, the one who kicks ass at making burgers, and the one who likes to be a part of something. However, with the girls, you don't feel as fitted. You still find yourself warped by their interests, their likes and dislikes. You try to be less like you and more like them. You continue to change yourself in the pursuit of fitting in and in fear of being singled out and bullied. And bullied for being weird or different. With the boys, everything seems more natural. You don't worry about their judgments or if they're making fun of you behind your back. When you and Jordan split up, the self-transformations continue. You change your look to get tattooed. You change your look, you get tattoos, and put yourself in situations in the hopes that you will notice you. None of it works, of course. And if it did, there is no use in someone falling in love with you for being someone you're not. Then the eating disorder starts to creep back in. Pretending it doesn't exist, trying to shut it out doesn't work anymore. And as the strength to fight weakens, you slowly fall back into the world of isolation. You start rebelling. It's like a competition with their eating disorder. Who can put you in the most danger, yourself or it? Who can increase your adrenaline the most? You see, your life has always been lived in this heightened state amongst chaos. When things are quiet or peaceful, you create chaos. It's your dopamine. You sneak off to nightclubs, you lie about where you are, you get caught up in recreational drugs, for your pursuit for the next big thrill never ends. At 17, you were sexually assaulted. And to be honest, I don't know how much of an impact this had on you and your story, but I can tell you that even now, as your older self, you've never experienced your full sense of femininity and sexuality. This is also where the anorexia turns into bulimia. The one thing you hide more than ever because you are so ashamed and so embarrassed by your lack of control. After months of secrecy, you see yourself as only having two options: continue to binge and purge or resort back to the world of restriction. You choose the latter and the cycles repeat itself, each time becoming more intense, losing more and more of yourself. It's like you create this world where no one can hurt you, criticize or bully, criticize and bully you, or take away as much as what your eating disorder can. The safety blanket that shields you from everything else and everyone else. At 18, Mum packs up and leaves. You're not surprised. You'd been wanting Mum and Dad to split up for a long time. It wasn't a fun relationship to be a part of. The thing you don't understand is why she didn't tell you. Why she didn't take you with her. You have been wanting to escape just as much as what she's been wanting to. Despite all the fighting over the eating disorder, you thought that you were a 2-for-1 package, but instead felt left to figure it all out from here. On the other hand, your eating disorder persuades you to take advantage of the situation. With your brothers moving out and Dad being totally oblivious to the eating disorder's sneaky tricks, it's the perfect breeding ground for it to thrive at your own demise. Yet you remain totally unaware of the control it has over you. At 19, Dad breaks his back, gets made redundant at work, and spends a few months in the psych ward, after which he remarries to a younger than you Filipino Antoinette, who just so happens to conveniently be pregnant with your new half-brother Daniel. That's the breaking point, and you decide to move in with Mum and Pete. You deploy your old tactics and sneak up to the gym, go for runs in the middle of the night, hide food, create a whole fantasy life for them to think that you are living. When they find out the truth, Pete yells and screams at you. This isn't a pivot point. This isn't a pivot point like many might think. Instead, it's an escape route for you to move back in with Dad. He is pretty much broke at this point. He has a wife and child to support and sent God knows how much money to Anthonette's family. You're forced to get a job. You start PTing at Good Life. End up making enough money to move out on your first rental at 20 years old. The isolation continues and the bulimia reemerges. With no one to watch you, judge you, or expect you to act like someone with anorexia, with no understanding of how to process your emotions, you just fall apart. After a year or so, you move to Bayswater and force yourself to start seeing a psychologist again. You beg Mum to stay with you or for you to move in with her. You're desperate for help. You're in so much hurt, but she can't see it. You struggle to find the balance between living your life as Darian and acknowledging your eating disorder so it doesn't remain hidden and so powerful. I hate to say it, but many times you wish that your life would end for a fresh start. You fantasize over how you would do it, the notes that you would leave for everyone you love, but you know you won't follow through with any of it. At 24, you meet Tim, and you're both so head over heels in love. You elope in Fiji, move in with one another, and it's truly the happiest that you've ever been. Here is someone that would do whatever it takes to make sure that you are loved and adored. But it's not enough to end the eating disorder. You lie to him about going to the library or having to work when really you're going to binge and purge for hours. Understandably, he gets suspicious, and one night when you return home, he questions you and you confess. In that moment, you are so vulnerable and hopeful that he understands, that he will tell you that it's all okay and that he still loves you. Instead, he is so caught up in the fact that you lied to him, and it turns into a screaming match. He takes your keys and your phone. You feel so belittled, so helpless, and you want to scream and yell, but you can't. It's like you're being suffocated. Just like that, all the sexual tension and lust that you had for one another is gone, and you never worked to get it back. 3 years later, you decide to split your bedrooms and lead separate lives. 2 years following, you move out on your own. Again, you fall back into the bulimia. You still don't know how to be okay with being with yourself. Due to the purging, your face swells, you look sick, and people are coming up with their own narratives as to why on social media. None of which are constructive. It's just ignorant bullying. You are let down by 2 promising business opportunities, taken advantage of, and then mistreated. But in reality, how can anyone respect you when you don't even know how to respect yourself? Just when you feel like you have lost everything and the suicidal ideation haunts your dreams, on your 29th birthday, you lose your best friend. You feel numb to the world. How have you come to lose so much of yourself? How have you managed to let go of everyone who ever cared about you? You see, everyone praises you for being so brave and so strong, but no one, not even you, see the real you. You don't let them. Being that vulnerable scares you beyond belief, but because it's so unknown. Let me tell you something, Darian. You don't give up, not now, not ever. Despite all the challenges and heartaches, you are still here. I promise you that you, my love, deserve to experience true happiness and peace. You just need to accept it into your life. Happy 30th birthday.
I fucking love that. If I could listen to that like every day, I would.
Oh, thank you.
That was really beautiful and really like emotional. Oh,
I was emotional writing it, but I think because like I was processing it at the same time, it's like all the emotions that I felt then still feel numb. It wasn't until the end where I get really upset, because it's like realizing that I had so many warning signs pop up and so many points in my life where it was like, that's enough. Like I was in the freaking ICU ward for 2 weeks, like because they couldn't guarantee that I'd make it the night, and that wasn't enough of a warning sign. And it's like just showing me how powerful the eating disorder was, because I remember sitting there with like wires hooked up to my chest and whatnot and being like, I'm fine. Like, let me walk out.
I know that you what did you say? I actually had a brain fart.
That's okay. It's not till the end when I get to losing my best friend, when Pumbaa passed away. It was just like nothing. I wasn't managing my emotions. I was binging and purging. The shit went down with the 2 other businesses that I told you about. And I lost him, and then I lost my best friend, and I was like,
yeah, fuck. So you were saying, I think it was talking about with like the social media, how everyone says like you're so strong and you're so brave and you're able to do all of this, but like you don't feel like that on the inside. But even showing like when you were in the ICU for 2 weeks and the eating disorder was so powerful, like you still to some extent had that control, and you were like, that is enough, and you didn't give into that. So like even though you feel maybe like the strength isn't there, like the strength is there because you've been able to overcome this, maybe not for 30 years, but for like 10, 15, 20 years. Like you've been able to do all of that, right? So there's definitely strength inside of you, even though sometimes maybe you don't feel like it.
What I've been doing the past couple of days is I've been revisiting each, because like the letter's kind of written out in ages. Mm-hmm. So I've been revisiting each year and kind of like talking to myself about how it's going to be okay, and that you need to just take a breath and embrace the moment. And when it got to the 14 and being admitted into hospital, I remember, 15 being admitted into hospital, I wrote to myself, just yesterday it was, that although the eating disorder is so angry and so violent and just is saying all these horrible things, you know that there's a part of you that is just like, fucking finally. Like,
Yes.
I don't have to fight every decision. Like, should I eat that? Shouldn't I eat that? Or like, should I go for a run or shouldn't I go for a run? Like, you're feeling so exhausted, but still doing what the eating disorder told me. It's like, now you don't have to. Like, and that, so there was a part of me that was just like, and then, yeah, but then it wasn't long until the other part of me was like,
Nope. I have some questions. How old were you when you started to believe that you could grow through this or keep, I guess, like putting up the fight of the eating disorder?
It's been a bit of a roller coaster. Last year, so there was 2 points in that letter where I said that I idolized suicide, and I've read a little bit about this and a little bit about trauma, and there's like 2 types of suicide. So there's like the suicide where you think about it and you think about the process and what people will say and things like that, and then the other side is like when you're really like, you kind of like, you see yourself doing it. And I never saw myself doing it. I just like, I just imagine if I would hurt anyone if I left, kind of thing. The 2 points that came with that was like last year when I lost Pumbaa, and then the one before that was just before I started boxing. So I think when I have the friendships at KFC and that was a point where I was like, hey, like, I actually feel like a human. And I'm experiencing like what joy is and happiness. And although I wasn't fully myself, like I was getting there. And then I fell back. And then there was a point where I started boxing, and that was another community that I became a part of. And I know that we spoke about this podcast with Mom, finding that community and finding people that acknowledge me for me and not my eating disorder. And then I think it would honestly only be like very, like the past couple of months where I've been like, maybe I can do it again.
Okay. All right. What do you dream like your true self to be like? Like you say, like you're trying to, you want to get to the point where you discover yourself. What do you envision an older Dazz with no eating disorder, or that's like truly part of your past? How do you envision like your true self?
I don't know if I want to put like as far as like my character or my personality, because I don't want to expect anything there. Like I definitely want to find like a deep personality and have this character. And I guess it's going to be someone that's very sarcastic, like I already am, kind of thing. And just like elevated 100%, like, like a dad in a girl's body. But I think as far as like how I feel, I want to learn how to be in both my light feminine and my dark feminine. So for those who don't know what that is, like your dark feminine is that kind of like sexual, knows herself and is, what would you call it? Like, I don't know, just sexual is the only word that I can come up with right now. But like, with
when I think of dark feminine, I think of someone who is very, very clear on their boundaries, and someone who almost like doesn't give a fuck about others. Like a dark feminine would be like not necessarily like egotistic or like a smart ass, but someone who's like, I am not afraid to say no, and I cannot control what other people think, and I know how much power I have within me.
What was that TV show with it was like 4 women and they were very rich. One had very,
Not
very
Sex
curly
in the
hair.
City.
Sex in the City.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you know the girl with the blonde hair who was like very
Samantha.
out there and just open? She's like a dark feminine. Like she just
Yes.
truly embraces every part of herself.
Yeah.
And then the light feminine would be more of that nurturing and loving and side of female. So I think it's like discovering both of those. Like I do feel like I have love for people, but I don't know how to show them. And I don't know how to give people the time and respect and patience that they deserve in a relationship. And then yeah, my dark feminine would be about learning how to get down and dirty.
I'm still learning how to do that. I'm like, this is not proper.
Google.
What Google, how do I do this? By the way, this, I don't know why this came up, but I'm gonna mention this. So when I got my hair extensions, like these hair extensions put in, I actually Googled how to pull hair safely with hair extensions in. I'm like, how can we do this without like ripping my hair out?
Yeah, no, don't.
The with like the light feminine, I feel like from a I am by no means like dismissing the eating disorder and all of everything that you've been through. I feel like as like an entrepreneur, we lose a lot of our feminine energy because there's a lot of like, I need to do this and I have to follow like these rules and be like a lot of masculine. I feel like the dark feminine has a lot of masculine like similarities. And like with the
yeah.
with the
It's
light
not bad
feminine.
thing. It's sorry.
Yeah.
I don't think that's feminine at all. Like I just think that having to be a business owner and having to make decisions and manage other people is it like, and this isn't sexist, it's a masculine role. Females can do it and they can do it very, very well, but they have to take on a masculine role. So I guess that's like anti-feminist because I'm like, oh no, like I'm not being anti-feminist because I'm like saying that women can do masculine things. Like, but yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like we lose a lot of our feminine energy because of that. So one thing that I started doing is I started doing this about 2 years ago, is I would just start wearing like jewelry and being like, what are like little things? So I just have like this really, I wear this in the gym every day. It's just like this little simple chain. And for me, I'm like, that's like I'm putting on feminine, and it's just like putting like those little things. And I feel like from that, I'm able to tap into a little bit more feminine energy, which eventually has like a compounding effect.
Yeah.
So like when I get up in the morning and just like washing my face and doing things like that, I'm just like, this is self-care and things like that. And it just kind of like amplifies.
Yeah. Even like spraying perfume or like wearing, I don't know, not your sports bra and granny panties all day long kind of thing. But
but yeah,
that bracelet that you got me for my birthday, I haven't worn it because I can't put it on. So I have to have someone around to put it on because it's so light. Every time I go to like do it up by myself, it just like rolls off. Like I've even tried putting my wrist down, but every time I go to loop it up, it just like slits, and I'm like, I need like a string or something to do it. But then I'm just like, I'll just wait till someone's over and do it for me. I might bring it to the gym tomorrow and get someone to put it on.
Yeah, isn't it just like a pull string or no?
No, so it's like it's a chain.
It's like a clip.
So like, and it's a very thin chain, so it just falls off. Yeah, but you're a hard one to please, but I'm gonna wear it.
Thank you. I hope you do. Yeah. Do you feel like you're in a way scared to, and please tell me if I'm wrong, but maybe scared to like discover your true self or like what's beyond, like what's really, really deep down within you, because you're worried that it might bring up even more things?
No, I think that I'm in a safe place with that now, that I won't fall back into those habits. It's more because it's all for me about not knowing how to manage my emotions. And this is why, like, when I learned a lot about the ADHD, that really helped me because I was like, okay, well, that's why I think that way. But like, and rather than just trying to shut it out, I'm like, this is an ADHD thing. Like, I stress
With this is okay. I feel like I have one more question. Do you feel for so long you've more or less, and this is how I understand it, almost like identified yourself as an eating disorder or having an eating disorder? And now that that's like, not that you're coming out of it, but things are shifting. And now there's like this understanding or attachment somehow to ADHD. Do you feel like it's...
I don't think I have ADHD. I think I just bring it up a lot in my habits because they have become habits that I didn't recognize were ADHD habits. I think that one thing that was really beneficial about me discovering that I had ADHD was that I've tried so much therapy for eating disorders, and I've never actually thought that when I was in the Butterfly Day program with everyone else with an eating disorder, they would all open up about how they had poor body image or they saw themselves as fat, and they'll tell everyone how their eating disorder is called them fat and ugly and whatnot. And I was like, mine's never said that. But then I said that out loud because that was like the autistic part of me that was like, that's what you're supposed to say. Like, they'll let you out if you tell them that kind of thing. So I was like, I don't know, I'll say the same thing. Put a little spin on it. And it wasn't until I saw a psychologist who didn't specialize in eating disorders, and I was like, I think I've got ADHD. And then breaking through that and breaking that down and getting diagnosed, it was like, okay, well, now I can start learning how to process these emotions, because what I'm trying to process isn't eating disordered emotions. The eating disorder is what I'm using to shut out what I don't know how to recognize and validate.
And just like almost putting it into a category and being, oh, well, it's because of that. Putting that into like that bucket. But you don't associate yourself with, be like, I'm Dazz, I have an eating disorder and I have ADHD. Like,
no. I think that I'm Dazz, and I'm someone who's experienced an eating disorder.
Good for you.
Yeah. And acts like someone with ADHD.
I feel like in a way we all do sometimes. Like, yeah. I'm sure that like we could all did, and by no means am I like dismissing like your diagnosis, but I feel like if I looked up like ADHD tendencies, I'm like, yeah, probably do a couple of those too.
Yeah.
But we're also very similar.
Like OCD. Like, yeah. And it's like,
yeah.
Dude, like I always have to have my water bottle filled up to a certain amount, or like
yeah, obviously I need to measure things. Yeah,
and if I don't, I will freak out a little bit.
we all have our little things, right?
Yeah, I feel unsettled. Like a to-do list for me, like if I've got something on my brain that I need to do and I don't put it on my to-do list, I freak out because I'm like, I'm so worried that I'm not going to get it done, and I know that I'll remember because when it comes to it, something will spark my memory and I'll do it. But I am so worried that I won't, that it terrifies me not to write it down.
Oh my gosh, I feel that so much. Or I'm like, if it's that important, I will remember to get it done. But I have different task lists where it's like, these are things that are like, I have categories of them, but then I also have like just this brain dump list where it's like emails or websites that I want to go back to later and stuff like that, because I don't like keeping all those window browser tabs open. But I have like, lists. We all have lists because we have way too much shit to think about. So it's like offload, put it somewhere, control. Yeah. Oh, so much so. I loved that. That was really nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to wrap it up? Is there anything else you wanted to mention?
No.
We have so many things to talk about after this. So many good things about future podcasts. Okay. So let's wrap that. Let's wrap this up. So that is it for today's episode of Femme Radio.
Make sure that you subscribed and connected with us for more discussions and empowering conversations that redefine health. Also, if you guys decide to write a letter to yourself, feel free to share it.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be wonderful. I feel like that's going to be a task for all of my clients. Okay, we'll wrap this up. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.